Solving systems of linear equations using substitution, lesson 10 notes. Example number 5. We have the equation 10x minus 14y equals 62 and negative 7 minus y equals negative 2x. Now, this is one step. If I divided everything by negative 2, it would be one step. However, I don't really want to do that because negative 7 divided by negative 2 is going to give me a fraction. So I want to stay away from fractions. The top x would take 2 steps, the top y would take 2 steps, and the bottom y actually is going to take 2 steps. But the bottom y has a positive 1 coefficient, so that's going to be what I'm going to solve for. Because I don't want to deal with any fractions, and since this is just a negative 1 coefficient, that's the variable I'm going to solve for. So solve for the bottom y, plug it into the top y. Pause your video, write that down. All right, so I'm going to squeeze a 1 in here. This is what I'm going to eventually solve for. So the first thing I'm going to do is add 7 to both sides of the equation. That would give me negative 1y equals negative 2x plus 7. Now I divide everything by negative 1. So they would cancel. I'm going to have y equals negative 2 divided by negative 1 would become positive 2x. And positive 7 divided by negative 1 would be negative 7. So now I solved for the bottom y. Since I solved for the bottom y, I'm going to plug that into the top y. I'm going to plug it into the top y. Solve for the bottom y, plug it into the top y. So this is what it's going to look like. It's going to still be 10x minus 14, but then instead of y, 14 is going to be multiplied by 2x minus 7. And then we have equals 62. All right, so let's solve this multi-step equation. All right, I'm going to use the distributive property. About that. So I'm going to take negative 14, multiply it by 2x, negative 14, and multiply it by negative 7. So I'm going to make it a little smaller. Okay, so the 10x, I'm just going to bring that down. Negative 14 times 2 would be negative 28x. Negative 14 times negative 7 is positive 98. And bring down the 62. Combine like terms. 10x minus 28x would give me negative 18x. Bring down the plus 98. Bring down the 62. Now this is a two-step equation. I've got my variable term on the left. I have 2 constant terms, so I'm going to take this constant term to the right. Since it is a positive 98, I'm going to subtract 98 from both sides. They would cancel. I get negative 18x equals 62 minus 98 is negative 36. Divide both sides by negative 18. The 18s would cancel, and you would be left with x equals negative divided by negative is positive. So it would be x equals 2. All right, if you haven't picked up on it now, it's been the same steps every time. Use the distributive property, combine like terms, get your variables to one side of the equations, constants on the other side of the equations, and then divide. All right, now that I know the value of x, I go back over here. I'm going to use this first equation that I solved for, and I'm going to write it in the last column here. So y equals 2x minus 7, and I'm going to replace that x with this 2 that I solved for. So where I see an x, I put parentheses. In the parentheses, I put 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 7 is negative 3. Again, if you're doing this on your own, just enter that whole thing into your calculator at once. Or at one time. So 4 minus 7 is negative 3. So my solution to example number 5 is x equals 2, y equals negative 3. Let's use the graphing calculator to check our answer. Wrong way. Here we go. All right, so the equations I'm checking are the 10x minus 14, and look at that. So here's where the two lines intersect. It says 2, negative 3, 2, negative 3. We are correct. All right, take a moment, pause your video, make sure you have absolutely everything written down for example number 5. If you have any questions, please let me know.